Welcome friends, are you the type of wargamer who loves to know how your units will perform in any given situation? Do you like to know how much damage you can expect a unit when building lists so you can prepare for all situations? Then this is the video for you. Today we'll be crunching the numbers on King Brodd to see how much damage he can really do. In this video we're going to see how much damage King Brodd can do. We'll start with the base profile and one by one apply any possible buffs to see how much damage he can top out at. Each time we'll compare it against all possible armor saves and ward saves so you can get a better idea of how he stacks up against different armies and units. By the end of this video, you should have a good idea of how much damage you can expect King Brodd to do the next time you play. Before we dive into the numbers, we'll take a quick look at his weapon profiles and all the abilities you can use to buff them. King Brodd has 3 different weapon profiles. Like most of the Gargants, he has the Almighty Stomp, coming in at 2 attacks, 4x2s with 2 rend, d3 damage, and anti-infantry +1 rend. He has Death Grip, as well as a single attack as 4x2s with 2 rend and d6 damage with anti-heroes. And lastly, his main weapon, the Obelisk of Torcrania, is a powerful weapon with 6 attacks, 4x2s, 2 rends, and a flat 5 damage. Although he only has a few attacks with a couple weapon profiles, they do some heavy damage, and with high rend, when you do land the blows, they are going to hurt. Let's take a look at all the different ways we can buff Brodd to increase his damage output. First, we have the universal command All Out Attack, which adds +1 to the hit rolls. Next, we have the heroic trait, Furious Temper. It's a one-time use, but adds 2 attacks to all his melee weapons, which is a massive buff. Next, we move to artifacts. The first one available is Extra-Calloused Feat, which adds +1 attack, rend, and damage to his Almighty Stomp attack, which paired with the anti-infantry ability already on attack makes them rend 4, taking out almost any infantry you can find. A great artifact to make Brodd more effective infantry killer. The next is Kingslaughter or Cowl, which is +1 attack to all weapon profiles against heroes. This paired with Death Grip will make Brodd more of a hero killer. And finally we have the Mantle of Tusken Horns, which offers +1 to hit for all Sons of Behemat units within 12 of this unit. This can be applied in 2 different ways. You can give it to Brodd, who is always wholly within 12 inches of himself, so he will get the benefit from the aura, but then you lose out on the artifacts that grant the damage increases. You can also use the battle formation More Stuff For Me collection and give this artifact to another Sons of Behemat model, and if you keep them within 12 of Brodd, he'll get the benefit of 2 artifacts. This is only a once game as well, so you will be better off giving him the other artifacts and using All Out Attack if you want the +1 to hit. The final buff we can apply is the prayer in Brodd's profile called the Power of Behemat. This has several options, but the one we'll want is the +1 to the Obelisk of Torcrania weapon, bumping it up to 7 attacks. As a note, before we get started, there'll be a lot of numbers to look at and take in, but you can pause the video at any point to look them over and come back and review the specific charts you're interested in. I have also put timestamps in the description for each buff so you can easily find them. With all that out of the way, let's take a look at the damage numbers and start adding on buffs to really pump up his numbers. First, the base weapon profile with no buffs. In the chart you'll see all the different enemy save values down at the bottom. I have added an example unit to each value as a reference point. All the numbers shown are calculated after all the hit, wound, and save rolls have been calculated, adding in any special rules or buffs that are applied. In this case it is anti-infantry and anti-hero. The bars in the red is the base damage they do versus each armor save. The blue bar calculates the damage after 6+ ward save, the purple is calculated after 5+ ward save, and the green is after a 4+ ward save. For the most part, I will not be covering ward save values when we discuss the numbers, as they are situational and not all enemies have them. If you know you're going to play against something with a ward save value, you can review the charts and check the damage numbers for each ward save value. For the base damage, we were looking at his damage output with no buffs applied. King Brodd will do on average 10 damage to a unit with 3+ save, and over 15 damage to units with a 5+ and 6+ save. All of his attacks have 2 rend, so you're going to negate all their armor saves. His average chance to hit at 4+ means he will not be landing very many attacks each turn, but when he does, they will do some serious damage. The first buff we'll look at is anti-infantry +1 rend, which is the ability on his Almighty Stomp attack. So this will just be his base profile again, but against some infantry models. We can see the numbers take a very small jump, only doing about 0.2 more damage on average. The numbers are pretty small, so as a base profile you can throw him into any unit without worrying about the damage loss. Moving forward, I'm going to include the buff the anti-infantry +1 rend. His profiles lend to him being a great infantry killer. The next ability we will add is either the command All Out Attack or the artifact Mantle of the Tusken Horns. So now we have +1 rend versus infantry and +1 to hit. Here we see some big increases in damage right away, doing 13.8 to the 3+ save units and over 20 damage to 5 and 6+ save units. That is over a full unit of 20 clan rats in one turn. Looking at the damage increase percentages, we can see that this is a pretty massive boost across the board against the base weapon profile. doing at least 30% more damage to all armor save types, and as high as 37% more damage against 2+ save units. The next buff we'll look at is Furious Temper, a once per battle ability. This gives +2 attacks to all weapon profiles, and here we can see another huge jump in damage numbers versus the base profile, doing over 16 damage to 3+ save units and over 23 damage versus 5 and 6+ save units. Looking at the percentages, we can see why this is a once per battle ability, giving over 50% damage increase versus all armor types and over 60% versus 2+ save units. If you need something dead, then this ability can make that happen. Next we'll look at Extra-Calloused feat, offering +1 attack, rend, and damage to the almighty Stomp attack. Coupled with its natural anti-infantry, this attack now has 3 attacks with 3 rend and D3 +1 damage. This does show an increase in damage, but not as high as the previous 2, with 12 damage to 3+ save units and 17 damage to 5 and 6 save units. The percentages versus the base profile show that this artifact is more useful against higher armor enemies, doing over 20% more damage, while weaker enemies with the 5 and 6+ saves are only doing 12% more damage. The next artifact we'll look at is Kingslaughter Cowl. This artifact offers a buff against hero units. I included the +1 rend, the anti-hero, instead of the anti-infantry because you'll most likely be hunting heroes if you take this artifact. The numbers show a good damage increase when fighting heroes, doing 13 damage to 3+ save heroes and 19.5 damage versus 5 and 6 save heroes. The percentages show a good damage increase versus the base profile, doing at least 27% more damage versus weaker units and almost 34% more damage versus the tougher units. The last individual buff is the Power of Behemat. This prayer gives Brodd 1 extra rend with his main attack, the Obelisk of Tor Crania. This boosts his damage very slightly, doing 12.5 damage to 3+ save units, while the damage output remains the same against weaker units as you waste the extra rend. The percentages show 30% more damage versus 2+ save units and only 18% versus 4+ save, while you have no increase versus the 5 and 6 save units. Now that we've covered all the individual buffs, let's look at 2 different ways we can go all out with King Brodd. We'll look at buffing him to kill infantry and one more specifically designed to kill heroes. The first group of buffs is the anti-infantry all-comers profile. Here we have applied 4 different buffs. We have all-out attack, Furious Temper, Extra-Calloused feat, and the Power of Behemat. These 4 abilities give King Brodd a staggering +1 to hit, 2 attacks on all weapon profiles, +1 rend on his obelisk, an extra attack, rend, and damage on his almighty Stomp. All these abilities combined show a massive spike in his damage output, doing over 23 damage in a single turn to 2+ save annihilators, killing almost 6 in 1 turn, or 30 damage to a 3+ save unit of our boys, killing almost 10 in 1 turn. Against the 5 and 6 save units, you'll be doing a staggering 35 damage a turn, meaning you can kill almost any unit in the game in 1 turn with just his melee attacks alone. The damage increase percentages show a crazy high amount, over 200% versus 2+ save units, and over 130% versus the weaker units versus his base profile. If you need something dead, using all these abilities at once will most likely ensure that that thing does die. The next profile we're going to check out is the anti-hero profile. This includes all-out attack, Furious Temper, Kingslaughter Cowl, and Power of Behemat. These 4 buffs offer +1 to hit, +1 to rend on his obelisk, +2 attack to all weapon profiles, and an additional +1 attack to all weapon profiles. The damage numbers here are even better than the previous profile, doing 24 damage to 2+ save units and over 36 to anything with a 4+ save or worse. You can turn King Brodd into a very effective anti-hero unit, killing almost anything you need dead quickly. The percentages show that as well, doing 215% more damage versus the base profile against 2+ save units and almost 145% more damage versus 5 and 6+ save units. Taking a quick review of the numbers, we'll look at the most powerful abilities and the anti-hero versus anti-infantry / all-comers profile. The first we'll look at is Furious Temper. While only being a once-a-game ability, this ability offers a massive damage increase of at least 55% across the board against all armor save types. If you need something dead, then this is the one ability you want to use. All attack is the second highest damage increase with over 33% across the board. If you want Brodd to hunt heroes, then give him Kingslaughter or Cowl. While not as good as the +1 to hit damage-wise, this is a passive and is always on, giving him over 20% more damage versus hero units across all armor save types. Extra-Calloused feat offers a decent damage increase if you want Brodd to focus more on infantry / all other unit types and not heroes, then this is the good artifact to use. Thank you for your time. If you found this video helpful or informative, please give it a like and please remember to subscribe to help the channel. I'll be continuing to make more videos for different units. In the comments, let me know if there's any specific unit you'd like to see covered. I'll take that in consideration when making the next video.